This week I learned there is so much good TV out there outside the usual streaming service suspects. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another weekly update. A little delayed this week. I did kind of have a day off and I needed a day to just do absolutely nothing, so I missed the usual Friday. But hey, Saturday's a good day too. So here we are, guys, about halfway through the month of July, and things are going just swimmingly. And I say that because I took my kids swimming twice yesterday because they're already starting to be concerned about the pool closing for the rest of the year. So normal dad stuff problems. But guys, let's get into it. Like always, let's begin with what am I reading? I did finish this mammoth, Gone with the Wind. This is my third reading of Gone with the Wind, but my first one in 20 plus years. I think I read it when I was 15, read it again in my early 20s. And it's the first time I picked it up since. There was a lot of people that were doing it together on the Discord, and that's been a lot of fun. I think just about everyone, except maybe one or two, really seem to enjoy it. There are obvious things in here that may seem a little outdated, obviously, and those are going to be things that you deal with whenever you're reading a book that's, going on 90 years old. That's going to happen, and especially when you're referencing stuff that happened 170 years ago in the United States of America. So those things aside, guys, I still think it's one of the best character studies ever because Margaret Mitchell took up the challenge of saying, hey, Mike, those things you hate, love triangles, unlikable protagonist, girl boss, just stuff like that? Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to make it all awesome. And she does. She does all those things because Scarlett is a character that on face value, you'll look at and be like, I can't stand this woman. But as you're reading, you're like, I am in her corner. I am rooting for her, and I don't know why. I think it's because Margaret Mitchell was just so awesome at what she did. And I enjoyed revisiting that again. Remembered most of it. There were some things I think that I've watched the movie so many times that's kind of clouded my memory on some things that were a little different in the book. So there are big differences. Namely, Scarlett has children in the book. She doesn't have them in the movies, things like that. But nothing ever really changes or goes too far away from the story. And that's a movie that I'll probably be revisiting for about the 12 millionth time here very, very soon. So another fun adventure through Gone with the Wind with Margaret Mitchell. Great times, guys. And then I went back to Dragon Keeper, and I'm working on that one now. I'm working through it slowly. I'm hoping to finish that one sometime this weekend so I can move on because I've got another Rainwild Chronicles book to get through before the end of the month. But I think it's, again, I don't want to just keep saying the same thing I've said each week. Since I've actually read more than a couple pages this time, it's not as bad as I've been told. But it's not anything that I would be like, yeah, I got to read that again, or I can't wait to talk about it. So I'm hoping for the best with the next couple. I've heard that 3 and 4 are much better than 1 and 2, and that's what I am hoping for. But that's really all I've got for what am I reading. How about what am I going to read after I finish this? Before I start anything else heavy, I said I want to get something nice and easy and kind of just give me some sugar. Give me some nice candy before I dig into my next steak. And that's when I'll be going back to Ark of the Scythe. And that is book number 2, which is Thunderhead. That'll be the perfect palate cleanser, I think, between Gone with the Wind and Dragon Keeper and my next big, heavy fantasy read. So I wanted to do this. I had this originally as a maybe, but I need it after I just finished, an almost 1,100-page hardcover, very, very dense book. I need to make sure that I kind of clear the cache a little bit. And I think going back to this, I'm very anxious because the way the Scythe ended was very, very good. And I'm anxious to see what happens with it. But you guys know as well as I do, that's YA books like that with the big fonts and the double space. They're really quick. You'll get through those really quick. So I don't imagine that's going to take me all week. So then it comes down to what's after that. It's going to be either Combat Codes or Nemesis games. Got both of them on the schedule this month. Don't know which one it's going to be, but I definitely don't want to I want to get both of these done before I start another Rainwild's book and of War and Ruin, which is another massive monster of a book, obviously. So I want to make sure I get those started, but I'm not really sure on that. It's just going to kind of be how I feel. Do I want to go up to outer space, or do I want to go down to the arenas and watch a little bit of gladiator fights? I think these are both obvious winners, but it'll be kind of how I am feeling when the time arises. But that's all I've got on the schedule, guys, for the next week. How about this week on the channel? It was kind of a slower week. Said I do like to try to keep it to one conversation video a week, but scheduling things kind of mess it up a little bit. So we got 2 conversations this week, but I hope you guys did enjoy them as much as I enjoyed doing them. The first one was an interview with the author, with James Islington, the author of the Lycanius trilogy and the new Hierarchy. Will of the Many is a book that is very, very popular right now, and I did review it recently. So I was excited to talk to James, and I was like, I hope people haven't been telling you that I hated your book, because I knew I was going to be talking to him. But the thing was James was a perfect gentleman. We talked probably a good 20 minutes before and about an hour after about things. He explained a lot of things to me like I was 5, and I appreciated that when it came to the Will of the Many. But he was like, I don't really listen to a lot of reviews, but I listen to yours, and I thought you were really positive, so I don't understand what the breakdown was. But he's quite fine with what my criticisms were of both Lycanius and Will of the Many, and it's just. That's a scary thing, is you're always like, hey, I don't know if I said something in a review that upsets somebody, and I never want to do that. But I always want to be honest. But I always feel like I personally think that I present creative criticism in a way that's not going to insult anybody. At least I hope that's the way that it is coming across. And if an author watches your review and still agrees to come to your channel, I'm hoping that you did pull that off. Next up, I did have a Talk About Nothing, and this one was with Bookborn. And now Bookborn was someone that I felt like, it's that thing like in high school where you feel like you have all the same friends and you interact with all the same people, but you never really have met. So that was us until like recently. We just got introduced, and we just talked, and we hit it off a little bit and said, hey, we should have a collaboration. So I moved her ahead in my Talk About Nothing schedule a little bit, because I do have a list of people I have that are coming on Talk About Nothing. So I moved her up a little bit so I could get that conversation done before I go out of town. It was a lot of fun. We talked for, 2+ hours, and very easy to talk to. We don't agree on everything, and I always say that's great. I don't want everybody to agree on everything, because then we'd have nothing to talk about if we all agreed on everything, right? But I do feel like most things we were pretty much on the same page about. We talked a lot more about Zelda than I expected. So her household has been taken over by Tears of the Kingdom as well as mine has. So there's always going to be a little bit of that. We talked about Star Wars, obviously. She's add her to the list of people that keep trying to get me to watch Andor, and I'm like, I'm done with Disney. I don't even have Disney Plus anymore, guys. But anyway, it was a fun conversation, and I'm glad that I finally got to meet and talk with her. And I think she's got a great channel, guys. I think her essays, like I told her in that stream, I think her essays are better than anything I do on this channel. I wish I could do videos like that. It's just not my style. I wish I could, but I think it's quality content. And I always love to recommend channels I feel like are a lot different than mine. And I feel like hers is very different. She has a very different style. She doesn't even do very many singular book reviews, and I think that's really awesome, because, that's one thing that I'll never shy away from, is doing single book reviews. But I like the way that she presents her stuff, just, like her Cosmere connections and things like that. And we talk about in the stream, she does tackle a lot more sensitive issues than I do on her channel, and I was kind of picking her brain on how does that go for you, because I feel like I can't do that on my channel, or I would be demonetized, deleted, and banned to Mars within the next 24 hours if I did. But a lot of fun talking to her, and I want to thank her again for coming on the channel. It was a great time from my end. I hope she had fun as well. June 2023 book haul was really the only non-discussion video I got out this week. Wanted to make sure that I said thank you for all those wonderful gifts that I did receive from viewers, publishers, and authors alike. A lot of fun for me. Again, you don't need me to tell you what a book haul really entails, but people do seem to enjoy them, and I'm glad, because I love talking about everything new, because I feel like that creates a lot of new conversations. It's books that I haven't started yet, and I like to hear some feedback on those things. So I appreciate everybody, not only who sends me stuff, but who drops in the comments and gives me a little feedback on some of those books that I'm talking about that I haven't read yet. It really does make a difference. Now, next week, guys, there is going to be a couple things. I don't really know what to say. It's the first time I don't have a discussion in like a month and a half. So I've actually got to start thinking about original videos again. I feel like I've taken a little mini vacation. I got a few things I'm going to do, but as you guys know, when you try to go on a vacation, it seems like you're running around with your head cut off, trying to get everything lined up before you go. We are 2 weeks away from that vacation. I'm trying to make sure I get everything done, not only around the house, not only at work, but, for this channel too. So I've got some ideas. These are a couple that I came up with from my live stream, my 95K live stream. I had a lot of things. Hey, have you guys ever considered, making a video like this? And these are a couple that I pulled from there. So credit where credit is due. That was a 3-hour video. I didn't go back through it and see who asked the question, but if you're watching this, one of them was, I did my favorite book ones in a series, and I've done, my favorite endings and things like that. He said, how about your favorite second book in a series? And I said, that's not a bad idea. Now, that could be for a trilogy where you've got the famous middle book syndrome and something that maybe bucks that trend. Or, maybe a longer series where maybe the first book was just okay and the second book just kind of was awesome. It's what pulled you into the series. That's what I'm going to talk about, my favorite second book in a series or a trilogy. I think that could be a lot of fun. Another one I have on my mind from the live stream was a lot of people asking about some of my collector's editions that I have. What's the prettiest book you own? And things like that. So I thought, how about sexiest special edition books in my collection? I feel like I get the question enough that people want to see some of the super sexy books that I do have. And I've got some folios, I got some broken binding, I got some Barnes & Noble editions I think really do fit that bill. I've got enough special collector's editions now that I've been blessed to be gifted and get on my own, that sure, I'd love to be able to talk about what makes those really, really pretty and show those off a little bit. And then the last one, and I don't really know where I'm going with this. I don't even know if I have a coherent way to talk about this, but I think I wanted to kind of do one talk about why they can't get fantasy adaptations right. Now, obviously, Wheel of Time Season 2 is coming out. Witcher Season 3 just came out. Zero people are excited about it, it seems like. And I just want to kind of get back to why is this so hard? Why, besides like Lord of the Rings and A Song of Ice and Fire, been like the only thing they've been able to adapt really, really well? And I think I have a lot of reasons, and they're not just the reasons you're thinking of, but there's a lot of other things, I think. But really, in the end, it just comes down to not respecting the source material. I think that's one of the things that, as a fan of Michael Crichton and Stephen King, and I've had to watch these horrible, horrible adaptations for years, where it's like, you bought the rights to that book because it was super popular. That book was super popular because people loved it. Why are you changing it so much? Now, I'm against slavish devotion to something. You don't have to do a page-or-page adaptation, as long as you keep the heart and the soul and the theme of that story intact. And I feel like a lot of these adaptations are not doing that, nor is it even on their radar. So I'm going to kind of talk about that if I get a free moment sometime this week. And again, see, that's what would be great if I knew how to do these essays like Bookborn does, or Philip does, or people like that are really, really good at this. But we'll see what comes up with it if I do get to that video this week. But that's all I've got for books, guys. There are a couple of TV and movie talk things here before I do go. I've had my messages blowing up. Mike, what did you think of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning? I haven't went. Look, Mission Impossible did do the impossible, and it surpassed James Bond as my favorite spy movie series. Probably around the time Ghost Protocol came out, where I was like, I'm enjoying this so much more than I'm enjoying James Bond right now, which I never thought would happen. I grew up with James Bond. That was it for me. I wasn't wild about the Daniel Craig era, but that's a discussion for another time. But with Dead Reckoning, I want to go, but here's the thing, is my kid just got into the series, and we're still getting caught up. We just watched Mission Impossible 3 yesterday, and he's liking it. He's already asked to watch Ghost Protocol, so we'll probably get through that. I want to go see that with my kid. I think that'll be a lot of fun, watching one of those for the first times with him, because he's really all just like super awed by the stunt work and stuff like that. Obviously, as you are with any Mission Impossible movie. And I keep telling him, you haven't seen nothing, man. They only get better and better as they go along. And I do think that's a series that gets better with each movie. After starting at 3, I felt like they just got better and better and better. 2 is the only anomaly. I don't know what happened there. But, hey, you go 7 movies long, and, your worst movie is Mission Impossible 2. I think you're doing okay with your series. But very excited. I know it's having a huge, huge weekend. And at this point, I just be like, why don't they just let Tom Cruise make every movie? Because the guy just seems to not really miss. I mean, besides The Mummy, which I don't think was his fault, I can't think of a ton of movies in the last 20 years that have just been like, oh, man, yeah, Tom Cruise really brought that movie down. So the guy's amazingly consistent, and you have to admire what he will sacrifice to make his movies awesome. So I'll always give him props for that. I got to talk about this Napoleon trailer. Look, guys, I am a history nut. I am crazy about watching history documentaries and stuff. I'm married to a history teacher, so we'll actually banter back and forth about a lot of these things. Napoleon is someone I've always been like, why don't they have a good biopic movie about him? I'm not talking about Waterloo from the set. No, I mean a really good biopic. This looks like this is going to be it. Now, I know that historical epics don't seem to really draw the box office like they used to, but I'm glad that there are studios who will still give Ridley Scott the money to make them, because I still love them. I think that you've got Ridley Scott and Joaquin Phoenix. Obviously, that's the reunion of Gladiator. I'm excited to see what happens here. This looks awesome, man. I like Napoleon. Say whatever you want about the guy. I think he's without a doubt the greatest general in the history of our planet. The guy was absolutely amazing. There's been people who broke it down by sabermetrics and analytics and looked at the statistics, almost like you would a sporting event, The way that his battles were made, and like he blows away like Alexander the Great. It's like amazing what this guy was able to do, and I think it's really great that we're getting a live action adaptation. Really kind of looks like it's going through his whole life, because it's beginning at the French Revolution, and I'm imagining that it's going to end towards Waterloo, or maybe his escape from or his eventual banishment to a certain island. So, I mean, spoilers, guys, for history, a couple hundred years ago. But, yeah, I think it looks excellent. Amazing trailer. Song use is always weird in these things now, but I'm not going to blame them for that. The movie looks awesome. The costuming looks good. It doesn't look cheap at all. Obviously, the cast looks great. And, I mean, Joaquin Phoenix, to me, the guy really just doesn't miss. Just about anything he's in, I will watch. And that looks really, really good. I do got a couple TV things here. I started watching 1883. Now, that is the prequel series to Yellowstone. I'll be the first to say, I feel like Yellowstone's fell off the last season plus a lot. I was never really crazy about the Beth character, but she's become just like, anytime she's on the screen, I just want to go make another coffee and leave the television. So I didn't watch these when they came out, because I was like, I feel like Taylor Sheridan is like drawing himself thin here, because he's doing all these other series. He's losing the goal on Yellowstone. That's why Yellowstone's writing is starting to go downhill. But I decided, you know what? Everyone, after I talked about Lonesome Dove, told me, well, you got to watch 1883. 1883 is basically like, Taylor Sheridan's hat tip to Larry McMurtry's Lonesome Dove, because Larry McMurtry apparently is his idol, which makes so much sense. We are 7 episodes in, guys, and I absolutely love it. It is spectacular. The cast is amazing. Look, I would have never been able to tell you that was Tim McGraw and Faith Hill if someone hadn't told me. They are chameleons now. And here's the thing is, I thought, okay, well, you got country artists in here. I was expecting the action to be bad. They're pretty good. But guys, Sam Elliott, always. You got Sam Elliott in a Western, it's always going to be an all-timer. That guy, I don't think he's ever delivered a line not perfectly in his entire career. That guy's amazing. He's superb on that. And the girl who plays Elsa, the main protagonist, she's spectacular as well. That whole cast is just brilliant. And here's the thing about it is I thought I was really enjoying it, and then like each episode kept hurting more and more, and I went from like, this is really good to, oh no, this is going to hurt, much in that Lonesome Dove way. Now, I don't want you guys thinking, oh, it's just, derivative of Lonesome Dove. Definitely not. I mean, it's doing the Oregon Trail, so you're going to have a lot of similarities. But I feel like a lot of this is based off of history and stuff. And you can find, if you're really trying hard, you can go, oh, this character's like Gus, this character's like Newt. You can do that if you want to. I think it's there, but it definitely feels like in a hat tip kind of way, not in a copying way. But I know I'm like the last one to watch this. It always happens to me. I'll watch these shows much, much later than you guys. And you'll be like, yeah, I remember that, a year ago. But 1883, guys, are very, very good. Thank you for the recommendation. I've got Paramount Plus until I think December is when it runs out. So I'm taking advantage of that because all the Mission Impossible movies are on there as well. And I got to talk about From. I talked about From like last week or 2 weeks ago that I started watching From, the series on MGM Plus. Apparently, MGM Plus, the reason I never heard of it is it used to be Epix. And I do remember Epix, but they've rebranded to MGM Plus. And I somehow had gotten the first season on Amazon Prime, and I watched it, but season 2 wasn't on there. And I've had a lot of people dropping like, well, how did you watch it on Amazon Prime and it's not on Amazon Prime in the States? I don't know. It was there for me. I have no idea, but season 2 was not. I was so anxious with the way season 1 ended, I had to know that I did the 7-day free trial of MGM Plus, and I binged all of season 2 in about a 36-hour period. Guys, it's that good. This is the best mystery box show since the early years of Lost. And, everyone, they hear that, okay, this is the EP of Lost. This is some of the writers that worked on Lost. They get that. Those red flags go off about, oh, well, they never knew where they were going. They were good at presenting the mystery, but never giving you answers. The writers swear their exact words were, this won't be as frustrating as Lost because we have a roadmap, we have a beginning, middle, and end plan for it. And I hope that they're right. So it's already renewed for a season 3. Season 2 had an outrageously insulting cliffhanger, but in the best way, in the way that you're like, I've got to know what happens next. But now I do have to wait. So guys, it's the most bingeable show I've seen in a long time. You will just keep playing next every time an episode ends. Awesome performances, especially from Harold Perrineau. I think that guy is always quality in anything I've seen him in. He is great. There are some legit spooks and creeps and frights in that show that will really have you turning lights on a little bit. So, maybe watch it during the day or make sure you leave the lamp on while you're watching, because it does have some stuff that'll creep you out. But it is very much the horror version of Lost, I believe. in the best ways, guys. Lost is one of my favorite shows ever, ending aside. It presented the mysteries like no other show. There's been so many shows that have tried to copy it, and I feel like this is the first one that has done it right. So, yeah, if you free trial it and you've got some binge time on your hands, I say go for it because you're going to zip through it. I guarantee it. It's really, really great stuff. But guys, that was my week. Again, sorry for the delays, but every once in a while you do just need a day to do absolutely nothing. And that is what I did do. And that's probably what I'll end up doing again tomorrow. So I am enjoying some of this downtime here before we go crazy trying to get everything ready for this vacation. But guys, I'd be interested in knowing what your week was like. Why don't you drop in the comments, let me know what you're reading, what you're watching, what you listen to, what you are playing, and I will talk to you there.